They told me not to come to Thanksgiving, because I was too embarrassing for the family photo. I hadn't even opened my mouth, and they'd already decided I wasn't welcome. My mom literally said, "Mia, it's best if you give us some space this year, you don't really fit in anymore." And my dad? He nodded without even looking at me, while setting a seat for my brother's gold-digging girlfriend. Before we go on, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this story if you believe silent hard work always wins. Let's get into it. I stood in the driveway that morning, pie in my hands, heart in my throat, and watched them wave me off like a stranger. They didn't ask how I was doing, they didn't know I'd been working 3 jobs, and they sure as hell didn't know what I'd built behind their backs. My brother Nathan smirked at me as he walked past with his new Rolex, bragging loud enough for me to hear. "Some people chase dreams, I just date rich," he laughed, holding hands with his girlfriend Tiffany, who once asked if I was the maid. They made me feel invisible in my own family, but what they didn't know was that I'd quietly bought the company Nathan was about to apply to. Yes, the same company my parents were bragging about getting him interviews at, because while they were mocking my struggling phase, I was building something, quietly, smartly, and with every ounce of pain they handed me. At dinner, I sat alone at a diner booth, phone buzzing. A message from Nathan: "Don't show up, Mia. You'll just make things awkward." I didn't reply. I smiled because tomorrow they were going to beg me to show up, and not just for dinner, but to save their reputation, their plans, and their precious son's career. The next morning, I woke up to over 20 missed calls. All from my parents. First it was my dad. Then Mom. Then Nathan. I didn't answer. I took a long sip of my coffee and opened the email from HR, the final document confirming I now owned 60% of Carter & Lane, the marketing firm Nathan had been dying to get into, the same firm where my name wasn't just on paper anymore. I had just become their youngest board-level majority owner, and the funniest part? No one knew. Not even the employees, because I invested silently, using a holding firm under a completely different name. That's what you do when your own family treats your ambition like a joke. You build quietly, and then strike when it hurts. The most. At 11:30 a.m. sharp, I finally picked up my dad's call. "Mia, listen," he said, voice tight, like he was being careful for once. "There's been a small situation. Nathan's interview didn't go as planned." I said nothing. I just listened. He was rejected in the first round. They said he acted entitled, unprofessional. And then, he paused, they pulled up a memo. Apparently someone flagged his name internally. Said we needed to reconsider his character. "Mia, do you know anything about this?" I kept my voice calm. "No idea, Dad. Sounds like something serious. You should talk to the owner." He sighed. "Well, that's the thing. No one knows who the owner is. They said a majority shareholder bought them out a few weeks ago, someone named MR Holdings. They don't talk to anyone directly." MR Holdings. Mia Rivera. They had no idea I was the owner. That evening, Mom showed up at my apartment door, the same woman who told me I wasn't family photo material. She stood there, holding a sad store-bought cheesecake like peace offering. "Mia, sweetheart," she said softly, "we were thinking maybe you could have dinner with us tomorrow. Just the family. Let's talk." I raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you call me sweetheart?" She smiled awkwardly. "We were wrong, okay? Maybe we misjudged. But Nathan's future is at stake and, well, you always had connections. Maybe you can talk to someone?" I let her in, sat her on the couch, and poured her tea, and as she took the first sip, I slid my laptop across the table, opened the company dashboard, and clicked on my name at the top: owner, majority shareholder, board signatory. Her face dropped. She set the cup down slowly. "That's you," she whispered. I nodded. "Still think I'm too embarrassing for the family photo?" She didn't say a word, just sat there, realizing everything she thought she knew about me was a lie. But this wasn't even the beginning, because I wasn't just going to expose the truth. I was about to turn their entire Thanksgiving dinner into a moment they'd never forget. Thanksgiving Day arrived, and for the first time in years, I wasn't the one begging for a seat at the table. Instead, I was the one they were all waiting on, nervously, awkwardly, pretending like nothing had ever happened. When I walked into the house, the room went silent. Nathan looked up from his phone and actually froze mid-swipe. Tiffany whispered, "Oh my God." She showed up, like I was some kind of celebrity. Mom came rushing over with fake warmth. Mia, you look, well. Come, we saved you a seat next to Nathan. I smirked. Wow. A seat this year? That's new. Dad coughed, trying to change the subject. We're just glad you're here. Let's enjoy the meal, as a family. Right. The same family that uninvited me just days ago. As we ate, I could feel Nathan squirming. He hadn't said a word until suddenly, he blurted, so Mia, Mom said you know someone at Carter and Lane. The whole table went quiet again. I set down my fork slowly and looked him in the eye. Yeah. I know someone. He leaned in, hopeful. Could you maybe talk to them? Just let them know I'm serious about the job. I can be professional. I just didn't know who I was dealing with. Tiffany added, they said the company's been super strict lately. Like, obsessive about values and image. Whoever's running it must be really intense. I tilted my head. Yeah, she is. Mom blinked. She? I nodded, smiling slightly. The majority owner. She's a woman. Very hands-on. Doesn't like people who fake their resumes, or show up to interviews acting like they already own the place. Nathan's jaw clenched. I could see the panic crawling up his neck. Then I pulled out a folder from my bag. Thick. Official. Embossed with the Carter and Lane seal. Here, I said, handing it to him. Your application file. Internal notes. Feedback. And the final decision. He opened it slowly, read the first page, then the second. By the third, his face had gone pale. You wrote this? I nodded. Every word. HR reports to me. Now. Silence. Total, breathless silence. Dad tried to salvage it. Mia, maybe we overreacted before. But we're proud of you now. We just didn't know, you didn't care to know, I cut in. You saw struggle and decided it meant failure. You treated me like a burden. But I turned that into fuel. Nathan shoved the file aside. So what now? You gonna blacklist me forever? I stood up. No. I already did. Then I turned to Mom and Dad. And if you're wondering whether I'm here to forgive and forget, no. I'm here so you can see what happens when the embarrassment of the family becomes the one thing holding the power you need. The room cracked in tension, but they hadn't even seen the biggest blow yet, because the next words I spoke would destroy everything they thought they had planned for Nathan's future. I looked around the table at the same people who once mocked me for working night shifts and delivering groceries, the same people who laughed when I told them I had a side hustle. They wouldn't understand now. They were hanging on to every word, and I hadn't even dropped the real bomb yet. I walked to the kitchen counter, pulled out a crisp white envelope from my coat, and handed it to my father. What's this? He asked. An official board memo, I said. From Carter and Lane. He opened it slowly, confusion in his eyes as he scanned the letter. A pause, then his mouth fell open. You're shutting down the internship program? I nodded. Yep. We discovered internal leaks. People using family names and influence to try and slide into high positions without merit. So we're cutting all legacy referrals. Nathan jumped to his feet. You did that because of me? No, I said calmly. I did it because of people like you. Arrogant. Entitled. Lazy. You thought being the favorite child meant something in the real world. It doesn't. Mom stepped in, desperate. Okay, Mia, you made your point. But punishing Nathan like this, it's cruel. I turned to her. Cruel? You mean like the time you told your friends I was just figuring things out, while bragging about Nathan's fake stock trading wins? She stayed quiet. I pulled out my phone, opened the Carter and Lane internal portal, and hit submit on the next big change, effective immediately. I said aloud, Nathan is permanently disqualified from applying to any of our partner firms, subsidiaries, or clients. His name is flagged in our system. Tiffany gasped. What the hell, Mia? I looked at her. Oh, and Tiffany? You might want to check your influencer brand deals. We own 3 of the companies that pay you. She blinked. Wait, what? Yeah. Expect some emails. Real soon. Nathan looked like he was about to explode. You've ruined my career before it even started. No, I said, walking to the door. You ruined it. I just stopped you from dragging my name down with it. Dad stood, still trying to fix everything. Mia, we made mistakes. But don't you think this is going too far? I paused. Too far? I turned slowly. You told me not to come to Thanksgiving. You said I was a disappointment. You looked me in the eyes and made me feel like I didn't belong. They were quiet. I didn't go too far. I went exactly far enough to make sure I never had to beg for a seat at this table again. Then I pulled one final letter out of my purse and placed it on the table. It was from a non-profit scholarship fund, fully funded by me, Mia Rivera Future Builders Grant. It read, full rides to college, career mentorship, housing assistance, all for underprivileged students from my old neighborhood. The same one my family told me I'd never make it out of. As I walked out the front door, I didn't look back, but I knew they were staring at that folder, realizing that the girl they once called useless had built an empire while they were too busy pretending to be perfect, and still, they hadn't seen the final twist, because everything that happened today was just the first step in my plan. 3 days later, the local business journal ran a front-page story, Mia Rivera, the quiet CEO reshaping corporate power and purpose. My photo, confident, calm, proud, was everywhere. Suddenly, the daughter they tried to hide was being praised by every platform they followed, but what the article didn't mention was the part that mattered most to me, not the wealth, not the power, not even the revenge. It was the freedom. For the first time in my life, I didn't need their approval, their fake smiles, or their shallow praise. I had built something from pain. I had turned silence into strength, and I had proven that you don't need to be born chosen to win. That night, Nathan tried to call again. I let it ring, then he texted me, I'm sorry. You were right. I just wanted to be seen too. I didn't reply, because growth isn't about getting back at people. It's about showing them they can no longer break you. Instead, I focused on the gala we were hosting that weekend, my company's biggest event of the year. I wore a midnight blue gown and stood on the stage, surrounded by people who once came from nothing like me, every scholarship recipient, every young intern, every woman who'd been told she wasn't enough. I wasn't supposed to be here, I told the crowd, voice steady. I was told I wasn't invited to the table. So I built my own, and I made it bigger. And now, everyone who was ever rejected has a seat. The room erupted in applause. That moment was bigger than Thanksgiving, bigger than revenge. It was legacy. Back at home, I received one last package. A framed photo. It was from the old Thanksgiving dinner, the one they didn't let me attend, but now, someone had scribbled on the frame in black marker, next year, we'll come to your table. I didn't hang it up. I didn't need reminders of who I used to chase. I simply smiled, set it aside, and opened the letter beside it, another thank you note from a girl in my scholarship program who just got accepted into law school. And in that moment, I knew, they tried to push me away, but their rejection didn't break me, it gave me direction, and now, I'm not just the one they regret leaving out. I'm the one they'll never catch up to again.